censorship is not a bad thing in and of itself. It's a tool. Parents censor things for their kids every day. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Michael Voris Show. I'm your host, Michael Voris. Just want to tell you before we start, if you haven't signed up for the men's retreat here in Detroit, first weekend of August 4th through the 6th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, please do go on the site, click on the button right there, boom, come here. It's talking about strength and honor, men's strength and honor. Great speakers, great time. It's usually 200 to 300 guys here from all over the country. It's a fantastic weekend. It's a getaway. It's time to bond with each other like is what we're supposed to do. Okay, so let's talk about free speech. Let me ask you a question. Let's start with a question. Do you think that a group of Satanists should be allowed to put postings and all sorts of things all over social media, encouraging 10-year-olds to undergo gender-changing surgery, possibly learn how to masturbate, and how they should, I don't know, maybe get as deeply involved in pornography as they can? Yes or no? Do you think Satanists have a right to post that kind of information? They're not doing anything to the kids. I'm not suggesting they're touching them or molesting them or anything like that. I'm just talking about in the arena of speech. Should Satanists be able to put onto social media announcements to 10-year-olds saying, hey, you need to, learn how to masturbate, and it's lots of fun, and, here's some pornography, and, not here's some pornography, but, hey, go get involved in pornography. Should they be allowed to promulgate that idea? Yes or no? Well, what's the answer to that? How do you gauge an answer to that? Because there are some, what you would call here in America, constitutional fundamentalists who would say every idea should be allowed to be in the marketplace. Doesn't matter what it is. And then the people who oppose it, not that they agree with it, but, it's that old famous, founding father comment that, I don't agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Really? Really? I'm going to defend your right to say that Satanists should be allowed to post ads aimed at 10-year-olds to help them learn how to masturbate. Well, according to these constitutional fundamentalists, the answer is yes, because all free speech is protected as long as it's not a crime, as long as you're not promoting a crime or, the overthrow of the government or something, at which point I say, well, wait a minute, I thought you said all free speech was allowed. But let's skip that argument and because I'm trying to get to here is the moral question of censorship. Every single time we hear about censorship, it's always cast automatically as a bad thing. In an environment where, in a country, a civilization, a culture that we have grown up in, and people are like, free speech, is that really a Christian position that all speech should be allowed? Again, not promoting, people going out and killing each other and, committing criminal acts. But what about committing moral crimes? Should somebody be allowed to go into the marketplace of ideas on social media and promote killing children in the womb? Just asking. So the idea of censorship as a thing just in itself, is that a bad thing automatically? It's bandied about in the culture, particularly on the more conservative side, the right, if you want to say it that way. They're like, they're censoring me. Is it the idea that you're just being censored, period, the bad thing? Or is it that the idea you are putting forward is being censored? See, this is where I would draw the line here and say these are two different questions. Yes, they both involve censorship, but what I'm always saying, the Catholic mind makes distinctions. There's censorship as a thing in itself, and then there's how it's applied. Should a group of Satanists have a right to create social media, little videos and animes and memes and everything else and plaster them all over Facebook and whoever, all the social media giants, encouraging 10-year-olds to start masturbating because it's really fun and they'll like it? And then at some point they'll get a little bored with it and they need to move on to pornography. And that's the message. There's nothing illegal about pornography as it stands on its own. There's nothing, illegal, meaning breaking the civil law, against masturbation. So under the person's, the foundational constitutionalist understanding of free speech, they would say to say no to that is a form of censorship. And all censorship is bad, therefore that idea should be allowed to be expressed. Stop. That is not what a follower of Christ would say. That is what somebody who strictly adheres to the Constitution as though it is the supreme authority, that's what they would say. But Christians, Catholics, would say, no, you can't say you have a right to promote sin, a constitutional right to promote the moral corruption of children, even though that happens every day in every way. Watch a Disney show, watch practically any ad, anything on social media that if it's not directly directed at them, it's indirectly, and they're going to come across it anyway. When you talk about censorship from a Catholic standpoint, because the Catholic Church censors things, you're not allowed to change the words of the Mass, although some priests do. You're not allowed to change the words or change the teachings of things, and if you do, you get either labeled as a schismatic or a heretic or an apostate. There are many things you can't change. You can't go on an altar. You don't have a right to free speech when it comes to the natural moral law, and you certainly don't have a right to free speech when it comes to the divine law. So you see these different categories all of a sudden, these sort of silos in which the conversation happens. And to just say point blank, oh, all censorship is bad, that's coming from kind of an American view that it's a little hard to square. There's going to be moments where you have two sides kind of, depending on the issue, are going to slam into each other. Now, I want to shift gears and talk about what the left does for censorship. Absolutely. Absolutely. They do all kinds of horrible things. We know in the last week, 10 days, whatever it's been, we've had, Michael Knowles censored and, Candace Owens, all the big names. Matt Walsh, I think, got nailed a couple weeks ago. And it just kept going on. And it's the whole thing. These big, giant social media platforms are censoring them because of what it is they're saying. And they're reporting it as misinformation, disinformation. It's not true. And even here, recording this video, there are some hot words, some buzzwords that I cannot say. I can't say them because if I were to say them, the bots would hear them and they'd bring down the video. So we've actually had that happen to us a few times. So we know all about the whole censoring thing under the guise of misinformation and violating community standards. Twitter was awesome for that, before Elon Musk took over. So is that bad? It's a bad use of what is essentially a neutral tool. Censorship, some things should be blocked from the public's standpoint, from their hearing, from the conversation. Thank you for watching The Michael Voris Show. If you'd like to watch the entire episode, please head over to churchmilitant.com and sign up as a premium member. If you need to sign up to become a premium member, go to churchmilitant.com/go premium.